Hello, students. Dr. Eagles here, and hey, we are over halfway done with the semester, and I wanted to check in with you to alleviate any questions that you might have or confusion regarding the upcoming assignment that we've been working on. Now, keep in mind that this has been a three-part assignment. The first was your proposal. The proposal was an area devoted for you to come up with a topic and the culture that you were interested in researching. And keep in mind that all the information and resources that you're using, you can obtain your own research through your weekly discussion groups. And I wanted to clarify that. So, part one was the proposal, and you've all gotten through that. Of course, as I require a title page. Additionally, I require specific introduction, a thorough thesis, and then some of the main objectives, perhaps three main points that you're interested in researching within your culture. And then, of course, you had to summarize your resources, scholarly resources that you would be using. This was an opportunity for you to get started and developing your research path. So I was quite strict with that, as I am on all of the assignments, because it's an opportunity for you to learn. What I'm finding is if I don't correct all of the mistakes at the beginning, then you continue to utilize and pass those same mistakes on to your first draft and then on to the final draft. So we are well underway now with the draft, and that is quite intensive as far as what I also require. But I wanted to go over some basic information that I have sent to you on the announcements. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to, one, go over those announcements. Also, go over the discussion information that I post weekly on your topics in your discussion groups, and then also follow up on the feedback that I do send you. So, as we start, again, I have sent you this particular document on the announcements, and then I also included the link so you can also have quick access to this. So this is a simple outline of what I am looking for in your next draft and of the cultural communication practices. First, you need to review all that information, and then let's quickly go over the title page of which is vital for me. The reason why I need a strong title page is because of, I have close to 75 students in three different classes. And if you are not identifying which class course that you are in, then it's problematic for me. Again, I'm very strict about this cover page. And the reason why is because when I download your paper, if your information is not accurate, then I cannot move forward in really giving you your grade because I then have to go and look to see which class you're in, and that prolongs my process of grading. So I give you this information right off the bat, and I really expect you to adhere to it. So on this new draft that you were to submit, you should, of course, have your title, the cultural communication practices, and the culture of, for example, Native American. So you can come up with whatever title that you have, but you must have a working title. Again, your name, the college that this class is under, not the class that or the college that you are enrolled in as your degree, but of this particular class, and that is College of Humanities and Social Sciences, Grand Canyon University. Now the course is COM 263. However, online, this is traditional online. That's what TO means. And then you need to put your class course. For example, it's going to be something like TO 114 or TO 8 or T116. And then that is your course that you are enrolled with in my class. And then, of course, elements of intercultural communication, your instructor's name, and then the date. So then we move back down to the first page. And again, that should be in the center of your page, of your title page. So I just want to go over all the dynamics of this and really preparing you for the standardized requirements for academic writing. Again, it should be in the center of your page, okay? And then we move down to the first page of your paper. Again, you need to have your working title there, and then you're going to start with your introduction. Your introduction should be a little information about what and why you've chosen this particular topic. Give a little brief information, some information that might be historic, something of interest to you about it, or something that is going to draw the attention of the reader. So your introduction should be brief, perhaps a short paragraph. At the end of your introduction, you need to give me your thesis. If you look through your rubric on each of the assignments, it's going to show you there whether or not you're being graded with the thesis or not. So I try to prepare you for that in all of your work. You need an introduction, you need a thesis, and the intent and purpose of your writing. So that's why I'm a stickler even in your DQ. I'm setting you up to be able to keep the same format throughout your course with me. And I'm sure it'll be most helpful with other courses as well. So after you come up with your first paragraph of why you have chosen this, some interest, some maybe statistics, some information that is drawing you to this, then you're going to go and tell me about, or tell the reader about, the purpose and the intent, and that's your thesis. The purpose of this paper will present the elements of, for example, the Native American culture, and we'll discuss communication patterns, history, beliefs, and values within their body language, their gender roles, or their social roles, or their civic structure and or lifestyle. So this is giving an overview of what you will be discussing. The primary focus that you're learning about and that you must make sure there's a clear understanding and presence is the history of the culture, the beliefs, and the values. And there you will bring in information that you've been learning throughout the semester. You should have information about the historical values and certain beliefs. And this information is within your textbook. Now, for this illustration, I'm using elements of body language and gender roles, and then also social roles and lifestyle. So those are the three concepts of the distinctions that you need to make sure you come up with. So within this one, these are the areas that I'm using as illustration. Then you need to go into the intent. What is the intention of you writing this particular paper? Why are you even doing it? The intent is to share the research and intercultural communication, the articles that have been addressed throughout the communication issues throughout this course. And then you're going to link those to the cultural distinctivenesses that we've been discussing that have to do with worldviews and or language within that culture. For this example, Native American culture. And you're going to perhaps discuss the cultural institutions. You're going to maybe talk about the communication styles and the social roles. So these are the main 3 points that you will be highlighting throughout your paper. Additionally, you're going to provide definitions, theories, and of course, scholarly references and a conclusion. So once you get this established, you need to use this information in this particular paper or in any particular paper that you're writing for academic writing, as your thesis forms the outline of what the reader can expect. So we're going to be discussing the cultural beliefs as I had mentioned, for Native American, but for the sample here, I have within the values of the Norwegian culture. Okay, so you need to start here first because that's the main focus. We want to know that you know about the history and why is that important in culture, why are their belief systems important, and why are the values important. And this is where you go to your textbook and you're going to make sure you are identifying these things that you have learned. So now you're going to start talking about the history of, for example, Native American. The Native American has a rich history that plays out the significant roles of the culture and their communication patterns. And then you're going to discuss those things in 3 or 4 sentences. Then you're going to also incorporate some definitions of what is the definition of history and cultural history. Why is that important? You need to identify that you know specifically why this is important. If there are any theories that you've learned in your textbook, you can also put that in there. But in each of these sections, you need to utilize your in-text citations, and you're getting that from the resources that you're using. Next, you're going to go to the beliefs. And again, it's the same type of information. You're going to talk about why your culture have and develop certain set of values and beliefs that are unique to that particular culture. And then you're going to discuss, again, how their communication practices and patterns are unique for their culture and their beliefs. Again, you're going to talk about this in 3 or 4 sentences. You're going to throw in a couple of definitions, and again, in-text citations, okay? Then you're going to move to the values. You're going to talk about why are values? What are cultural values? Define that. Let us know that you know what that is. You again can go back to your DQ questions that you have that information from what you've posted weekly, or again, your textbook, okay? Then you're going to again follow the same process, add definitions, add some discussions, and utilize your textbook resources as well. In this, you can also add different theories that you're learning about, and to make sure that they are supporting the information that you have learned throughout the course. Next, you're going to discuss the main focus of this assignment, and you're going to highlight the cultural distinctivenesses within your culture that you are discussing. Now, in general, a cultural distinctiveness is something that you would be able to look at a simple image, for example, of a culture, and then through that, you can identify some of the things that that culture relates to and is distinct within that culture. For example, in Native American culture, if I showed you a headdress, for example, your mind might immediately go to, that reminds me something within the Native American culture. That's a distinction of that culture. Another is if I showed you another image, might be a ceremonial dance that they might do. If I just showed you that image without any words, you would probably say, oh, that's probably within that particular culture. That is another arts or religious practice of distinction of that culture. And a third element might be if I showed you an image of maybe a teepee, maybe a traditional style of where Native Americans would live, then also that's another cultural distinction of that particular element. So when we discuss cultural distinctions, that's what we are referring to. And in this assignment, you need to be clear on assigning those elements of distinction about your culture. And so that's what should be highlighted and described in the section of cultural distinctiveness. And again, you're going to keep with the same format. If you're going to talk about cultural institutions, as I've selected and pointed out here, gender roles and groups in that culture, and then the social roles and the significance of that. So we've gone through these in our different topics throughout the semester, and you have easy access. Actually, you've already written information about this. You also have resources about this. So it's not like starting new research information. You have this. And that's why I'm very strict on your DQ discussion groups. If you remember, you are required to have an introduction. You need to discuss and reiterate the question, right? And then you are to also pose three different main points that you're going to discuss. Then you need to also have a conclusion. So this is preparing you for success in this course. Again, I do require you to have resources for each of your discussion groups as well. The reason being, because you're building your own library of resources for your assignments. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify that. And again, you're going to keep the same format. Finally, you're going to come to the conclusion. In conclusion of the communication patterns and practices of, for example, the Native American culture, and then you're going to include your own words, of course, and verbiage about this paper presented the elements of point A, B, C, etc. And of course, you're going to reiterate your thesis. So in your conclusion, you bring that back as a closing factor that this is what we set out to do, this is what we've done, and then you are going to add your takeaways, and that is how you write an effective conclusion to your paper. Now I want to move into the references. We always use APA formatted standard writing styles, and that includes our references. So I have an example of what that would look like here. And so for this particular example, in using research for the Norwegian culture, of course, you're going to use a scholarly resource that will depict that particular area. But other examples that you definitely need to use as scholarly references are the examples of your textbook and those that you have been using throughout the semester. So these are other examples that should automatically be included. And this is where you're getting some of your definitions from and from some of your theories. Again, you have the information already outlined, one in your textbook, but more importantly, you've already have and written about the information through your discussion groups. Note that specifically, you should research the following additional scholarly types of research and also use them in your in-text citation. So whatever you're listing here as your resources, we should also see those in your in-text resources to confirm what you are writing about. For example, worldviews. You now want to go and specifically do research in scholarly areas in your specific topical or cultural topic. So for example, in this particular paper, there is a research, scholarly research that I found based in 2001 on cultural identity and worldviews and the different styles among the Norwegians. So this is a scholarly publication. ProQuest also has a lot of resources that that's something that you can use for your upcoming papers and in my class and other classes as well. But this is what we mean as far as looking up scholarly resources. Also, specifically in our chapter, we're utilizing chapter 6 in your textbook. And of course, that is an online resource. And so, for example, if you're looking up social institutions and culture, you have that information at your fingertips. And if you're looking for roles of nonverbal communication, you have that at your fingertips in your online textbooks. And those are the resources that you can use. Of course, another very valuable resource is looking up the role of individualism and collectivism, and that is also in your textbook. And so these are the things that would be your first go-tos in producing an effective paper for this particular assignment. So I wanted to touch bases with you, you know, so you can really hear the explanation of the reasons and the whys. And I hope that it's extremely helpful for you. I'm so blessed to be able to be your professor, and I'm going to be tough because you're tough. And I know you can work with this and do a great job. So thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.